Welcome back, everybody, to the Under Review podcast, or shall I say, happy college football 26th day to everybody out there. If you play, if you didn't get the early access, at least today is, the first day that it drops. And if you don't play the game, happy episode 59 to you. As you can tell, my co-host Marty is on vacation. I guess he accumulated some vacation time through the last season. Took a nice little vacation down at the beach, getting his toe in some sand. So, might not, hopefully don't get infected. So, but, back at another week. First off, I want to thank the wives. I want to thank the Dadpod, Hunter Brassfield, and Nicholas Adams. I want to thank Hayden Coker at HCS Media, Jud Dickinson, Cody Mealer, and Brandon Trammell. Today, team preview, episode 59, we're going to bring you two more teams. We're talking about the LSU Tigers, and we're going to talk about some of a really interesting team, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Without my counterpart, this is going to be a fairly quick episode here. So, without further ado, no slideshow, as you can tell. Without further ado, before we get everything started, let's take a word from our sponsor.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
Thank you for Chuck's Heating and Air for being our sponsor for this upcoming season. All right, so let's jump into it for the LSU Tigers. Head coach Brian Kelly, inside of his fourth season, holding a combined record of 29-11, and it's a 72 winning percentage. Offensive coordinator Joe Sloan, his second season with the Tigers, and then defensive coordinator Blake Baker, also in his second season. This Tigers team had the 10th best recruiting class and the number one transfer portal class. You'll see some of the names on here that helped bring that team to the first ranking in the transfer portal. Had a great haul, so we'll see some of those names. And then recruiting, we got a couple names here on our list. One being a big old running back to fill some shoes, so hopefully he'll get some playing time this year. And let's talk about some of the key departures last season. J.C. Daniels had 480 yards on 42 catches. Was a nice target, a safety valve pretty much for Garrett Nussmeier all of last season. Did lose him. Then we're going to talk about tight end Mason Taylor, 547 yards on 55 catches and also 2 touchdowns. And then offensive tackle was a first-round pick, Webb Campbell. Went top 5 pick, I want to say, to the New England Patriots at 4. If you look at those guys, you really don't see a lot of, production out of those guys. But what they lost was okay compared to what they gained. So the key additions is starting off with the running back position, that guy that was talking about. There's a fly in here. Sorry. Harlon Bradley is the number 33 nationally ranked player coming out of this year's draft. Or coming out of this year's draft class. He is 5'10", 185, coming out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and St. Martin's Episcopal School. I about messed that up. And then next we have a wide receiver coming from he's going to be a transfer guy, if I can find him. Yeah, wide receiver Nick Anderson, 6'4", 210 pounds, redshirt junior, coming out of Katy, Texas, and Katy High School, last played at Oklahoma. Nick Anderson was hurt all of 2024 and was a big piece in their 2023 year. So with him, Nussmeier, and this other guy that we're going to talk about, along with, Bauer Sharp, this team could be really dangerous. Garrett Nussmeier's a name you're going to hear a lot today. I'm sorry about it, but I'm really, really stoked about this team. Then the next wide receiver I want to talk about is wide receiver Barry Brown, 5'11", 180. He's a senior out of Nashville, Tennessee, coming from Kentucky. Watched a lot of this guy last year, 361 yards. But with Kentucky, he is a great return man. He's fast, he's agile. Love to see what he's going to do on this Tigers team. So, talked about Bauer Sharp. We've talked about Nick Anderson. So, players to watch. Obviously, quarterback Garrett Nussmeier is number one. Lo and behold, Garrett Nussmeier. Quarterback 6'2", 200 pounds, fifth-year senior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Let's see some of his stats real quick. 2024-25, played all 13 games. Completed 4,052 passing yards on 337 completions, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. With this team, this LSU team, expect his numbers to be better. I'm projecting 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns with about 8 or 9 interceptions. Could be a front runner for the Heisman. Could be a front runner for a lot of the awards coming up this year, but lo and behold, it's all what this LSU team can do around him. Who else we got? Another player to watch is that transfer. That transfer I was telling you about, Bauer Sharp. Let's see. Bauer Sharp is a tight end, 6'5", 250, fifth-year senior coming from Dothan, Alabama. Last played at Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold's number one target, led the team in most of the categories. So definitely a guy to watch for. Tight end position, along with, Barry and Brown and some of the other guys that I've already mentioned already. It's just going to be a whale of a team in my perspective, and let's see. And then we're going to go on the defensive side. Not him. Oh, okay. Big old linebacker here, number 40, Whit Weeks, linebacker, 6'2", 225, is only a junior. I told a guy earlier at work that he was a senior. I thought I saw him in the draft. But Whit Weeks had an amazing year last year. Let me pull up his stats real quick. Led the team in 120 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, 4 pass deflections, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, 61 solo tackles. This man was an absolute monster, and don't let him fool you. He's not going to stop. I want to say they got, was it TJ Searcy? I'm not sure. Austin Osbury. Could have swore they had Searcy. Well, I could be wrong. But Whit Weeks is definitely a name to look out for. Also, Michael Van Buren transferred over there from Mississippi State, sit a year behind Garrett Nussmeier. So let's take a look at this schedule. Okay. Saturday, August 30th at Clemson. I'm going to take LSU there. They are very known to not win their opening game. But in Death Valley, give me LSU. 6:30 as well. September 6th at home against Louisiana Tech. First home night game. Taking LSU there. And then September 13th, LSU at home against Florida. 6:30 again. Give me LSU. Saturday, September 20th, LSU versus Southern Louisiana. LSU, I'm taking LSU at Ole Miss. Flags go. Oh, we don't know when that game is. In Von Hemingway Stadium, I'm taking LSU. Homecoming, October 11th, LSU against South Carolina. I'm taking LSU. If you don't see a trend here, you should. October 18th, LSU at Vanderbilt. I'm taking LSU. LSU right here. October 25th, LSU at home against Texas A&M. Presumably going to be a night game. The reason I say that is I project these two teams to be the best two teams inside the SEC this upcoming season. I project that this is also going to be, could possibly be, the SEC championship game right here. So I'm taking LSU. Saturday, November 8th at Alabama. I'm taking LSU. Saturday, November 15th at home against Arkansas. I'm taking LSU. Saturday, November 22nd, LSU at home against Western Kentucky. I'm taking LSU. And if you haven't seen the trend, I'm saying LSU is going undefeated as they go into Norman, Oklahoma on the 29th and beat the Sooners. So an undefeated season for LSU is not out of the books. It very could happen. Two possibly good matchups. Alabama, yes. Texas A&M, yes. But besides that, I don't see any other team inside the SEC this year that could beat this LSU Tigers team. So give me a perfect season 12-0 for Kelly. Definitely could be wrong because we all know how an LSU team looks on paper, then transfers over to a game. But hopefully it could be LSU's year. If not, they're just going to be in a time warp, I feel like, of never going to be good again. Now we're going to take a look at the Mississippi State Bulldogs, the worst team inside of the SEC last year, leading out of the tunnel by Coach Jeff Lebby. His second season, he is a 2-10, 16% winning percentage. He also is the offensive coordinator. And then defensive coordinator Coleman Hutzler, inside of his second season. They are the 28th nationally ranked team inside this class, and then the 17th portal class. So not a bad, class altogether for Mississippi State, especially being 2-10, and then a top 25 transfer portal class, and then a top 30 nationally recruit class. So Jeff Lebby knows what he's doing. It's just, can he figure out the right pieces? The key departures were quarterback, again, Michael Van Buren, who transferred to LSU. 1,886 yards on 140 completions. That's a 54% completion rating. 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's going to be missed for the Mississippi State Bulldogs unless Blake Shapen can turn the season around. And then wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr., 932 yards on 74 catches and 6 touchdowns. Van Buren's favorite target. And then defensive back Bryce Pollock, 48 total tackles, 24 solos, 7 pass breakups, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. So you're talking about losing your starting quarterback, your best wide receiver, and one of your better ball defenders. It's not common for Mississippi State players to get lost like this, but I don't understand Van Buren's decision. Could have been NIL. Don't want to really speculate on that one too much. But going over to LSU to sit a year behind Garrett Nussmeier, you're not starting. Might as well could have saved a year and just stayed at Mississippi State. Again, the Blake Shapen situation could be totally different. I don't know. So hopefully we'll figure out more as the season goes on. Is the reason he left because Blake Shapen is back and better than ever? Who knows? Key additions, Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama, 832 yards on 111 carries for 13 touchdowns. He led the Jaguars in rushing yards. Can he do that in the SEC? I surely to hope so. This is one of my favorite running backs to watch all of last season for a small town, or not a small town, but a small university back. Finally getting a chance for, the SEC lights. So Let's see what Fluff can do. The defensive end, Tyshawn Willis, he was the 92nd ranked player in the 2025 class. And then linebacker Tyler Lockhart was the 96th rated player inside the 2025 class. This class is going to be young because they had the 17th best transfer portal, yes. They had the 28th best nationally ranked recruiting class. This team is going to play a lot of young guys. That's what Jeff Libby loves. But he wants to find players that's going to play for his team. So it don't matter if you're a fifth-year senior or if you're a walk-on. If you can play football, you're playing on this team. And I think those guys are the best shot to play. Players to watch again, Fluff Bothwell. I've already said enough about that. Brennan Thompson, a wide receiver, senior, could bring a lot of depth in that wide receiver position. Don't really have the stuff pulled up right now to see, they got a lot of players and a young class, so need that leadership role. Brennan Thompson put up some good numbers last year. Looking to keep that rolling here in his final season as a Mississippi State Bulldog. And then one of the transfers they got, Dwight Lewis III. He's a redshirt senior, 25 tackles, 17 solos, 4 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble, coming from a junior college. This kid could win Defensive Player of the Year if Mississippi State can turn their season around. And then getting into their schedule. There we go. Okay. August 30th at Southern Miss, taking the Bulldogs. Arizona State, me and Marty's talked about this multiple times. At home, September 6th, not the same Arizona State team. Yes, they got Sim Levitt. They don't have Cam Scatterbo. I feel like after a good win at Southern Miss, Mississippi State's going to come in fired up. Give me the victory for Mississippi State right here, already matching their record from last year. September 13th, Alcorn State, 3-0 Bulldogs. September 20th, Northern Illinois, 4-0 Bulldogs. Take a loss right here to Tennessee on September 27th, 4-1. Taking another loss October 4th at Texas A&M. Then October 12th, they're off. October 13th, they're back in the win column in Florida. It's 5-2, almost bowl eligible. Yes, that's controversial. October 25th, at home against Texas, they're losing, 5-3. November 1st at Arkansas. I don't remember what I said, but I want to say I had them winning that game. I'm not really sure. So give me Mississippi State at Arkansas, bowl eligibility, 6-3. November 8th at home against Georgia, 6-4. November 15th at Missouri. That'd be 7-4, giving them Mississippi State the win there. And then the Egg Bowl toss-up. I want to give it to Mississippi State, I really do, but give me 7-5 on the season, losing to Ole Miss. Better year for Jeff Lebby, and could definitely turn the program around for Mississippi State. As we're known, Mississippi State's not really a great team, but could turn them around. So with that being said, I do want to say that I feel like LSU is the best team this year, hands down. All the key additions they got, had a number 1 ranked transfer portal class. They could end up, I have them undefeated, but it's how that transitions over. Can they make can LSU make the transition from on paper to on field and be winning again? That is left to Kelly and everybody else to find out when the season kicks off at Clemson on August 30th. For the logo challenge, Georgia beat Mississippi State, and then the next round I want to say is Auburn against Alabama. That'll be up right after this episode. So after you're done watching or listening, whichever one you want to do, go over to the Facebook page, Under Review Podcast, vote, and see who moves on to the next round. Thank you, everybody that's watched, listened, short video, or, usually with Marty, it's really not that long because I don't really have nobody to bounce ideas off of, so it's just me. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, God, for bringing us here one more week, because we love you here at the Under Review Podcast, and God loves you as well. So see you next time when we go Under the Monitor.